Hello guys, and welcome to the day 6 of this project. We finished the front-end part of this application in day 5. So if you haven't gone through day 1 up to day 5, I kindly urge you to go through them and come here at day 6, where we'll be looking at the backend side of this application. So our backend side will having two folders, one for the backend side and the other one for background services. And if you already have gone through the other video, also the introduction video, I have already talked about these two folders. So the one for the backend will handle the CRUD operation of this application, things like posting, deleting and updating and every task that is required to be done by backend. And now we'll be having these background services, which will hold things like how to send emails to user and how to schedule those emails so that they are being sent to the user. So now what we'll do, we'll start by looking at various topics that we'll be covering, and one of those things is folder structure, or the best folder structure that you need to adopt in Node.js and Typescript. And another thing is best practices in Node.js, and another thing is user input validation. Those things I really wanted to cover in this project because in other video or in other channels I have never seen someone who cover these topics, whereas they are very important when you are coding, and they are things that make your application at least ready for production in one way or another. So we'll start with here at our backend, and then we'll code the background services later on. So without ado, let's get into the video. So now here we have opened this folder here, this one for Courier application, and here we have our front-end, backend and background services. But now I want to close this one because we don't need them at this point. So let me close this front end so that we have this empty folder here. So now what I want to urge you, if you haven't installed TypeScript, kindly go back and install TypeScript. It is very easy. And then we continue with this video here. So now what I want to do is I want to create some two folders here, and one for the source and one for dist here. So this one is for dist, and this is where our TypeScript language or TypeScript will be coding our TypeScript here, and then we'll be generating or compiling it into this dist folder here. So now what we need to do, we need to generate the tsconfig file so that we configure everything that we want in that engine. So I will just show you how it works. So you come here in this terminal here, and then you can write a command. You can say ts and then -- init, and then generate the tsconfig, and this is the tsconfig that we have generated. So if you come here, there are a couple of things that you need to do in order to configure. And to configure these options, what will include is we want to tell this engine here, or this tsconfig, that we want to code here at our source and then compile that code into our dist folder here as a JavaScript. Now you may be asking yourself, why do we need to compile our TypeScript code into JavaScript? And this is because we need to run JavaScript, because even if TypeScript is just JavaScript, but Node.js or other programs don't really understand what TypeScript it is, and they cannot run TypeScript, so you need to compile back to JavaScript even if you are coding into TypeScript. And before I forget, let me first of all add a file here, and this file will call it .git ignore, git ignore, just like that. And here we want to include things that we don't want to push to our GitHub. One of the things that we don't want to push is node modules. We don't want to push .env, and we don't want to push this one that will be having the JavaScript code. So if you are going to clone my code in a GitHub, you will just need to compile back this code to JavaScript, because it won't include this JavaScript code here, because most of the time if you push the TypeScript code, it doesn't look professionally as developer. So now another thing that I want us to do is that we need to configure this. And to configure this, one of the things that we need to do is come here at a root directory, and this is where you need to code, where you want to code your TypeScript, and this is src or source folder, and then we need to uncomment this here and come here, look for out directory, this one. This is where you want your TypeScript code to be generated or compiled. So it is dist, we want to compile it at dist. So now we can just close this one. Now the configuration is, we have done with configuration. Now save and then remove it and then close this one. So another thing now we need to do is to initialize a node application, and what you do, you just come into your terminal and write init, npm init, and then accept everything that will be the options. So let's see how it will generate. So already if you come here now, you can see our TypeScript here, our package.json, and now we can start coding our Node.js application. So what we'll do is just come here and create a folder called index.ts, just like that, because it's TypeScript, and now we can just start coding here. So before we start, we need to install some of packages. So first we want to install express node.env. We need to install cause, and then we need to install JSON web token. These are the packages that I know we need to use, so that's why I'm adding them here. So I think those are enough for now. So let's enter, and it will install for us all this. So now we need one terminal for compiling our TypeScript code into JavaScript, and we need another terminal to run our application. So what we'll do is just come here. Already it is not done, so then let's wait. It has finished installing. So now what we'll do is just say ts.w, and this will be compiling and our TypeScript code while it is watching. So any change that will be made, it will compile it to JavaScript. So let's enter, and as you can see, it is telling you that it is starting compilation and it has found 0 errors. So when you come here at our list, you find this index.ts. Remember, we have created this index.ts, but we have not created this index.ts. But now if you come here at our list, you find this index.js. So now it has generated our packages, and that's why you are seeing this modules. So now we need another terminal. Yeah, so I'll just come here. For my computer, I can't use this terminal here for this VS Code because it is generating some of errors that I don't want. So we just go at desktop, and then YouTube, and then Courier services, just like that, and then Backend. as simple as that. And now what we'll do is just say nodemon. If you haven't installed this nodemon, you should install. Mine have already installed it on global level, that's why I can code it just like that. So I can say nodemon, and then our code is in dist because we are running the compiled code of JavaScript. So let's run it, and now it is running, but we don't have anything that to show. So what we can do, we can just come here and say console log, and then say something like server is running, just like that. So when you save and come back here, now you'll be seeing the changes will be printed here because our TypeScript is watching while it is compiling. That makes work easier. So now let's come here and start coding. So we say import. We want to import Express from Express, just like that, and we need to import cause from cause, just like that, and we need to import .env from .env, just like that. But now you can already see we have some errors here. First of errors, or the first errors we are getting from this importation of Express, and this is because TypeScript uses types, so it needs to install some types. So as you can see, they have already shown you they have indicated the commands that you should run for it to install the types. So let me copy this here, just like that, and then we can come here at our terminal, and we need to another terminal, the third terminal. So let me open another terminal here. So we see desktop, same cd YouTube, and then Courier services application, and then backend, just like that. So now we need to install, or we need to paste that command here, and then it will install types for us. It should not take long because it's a very small package. So let's see. So it's already finishing. So now we can come here and copy this second command here. So let me copy it as fast as possible to save on some time. So it is not, it has not finished, but as it is finishing, so we can come and try and code the rest of the application or things that we need. So we just say const app, and this one will be from Express. Call this function Express, just like that. And then now before we start reasoning, so it has already finished installing types for Express. So now let's copy this one here, or this, yeah, and then let it install. Now it has finished installing. So now as you can see, now there are no errors. So we need to initialize our app, and then this app will call this Express function here. So now we need to add something here. We need to add a middleware, and this middleware will call this calls function here, and this calls is to remove the restriction for accessing our endpoint. So now another thing that we need is to add a middleware that will be catching our error. So this one here, and we'll create a function inside it that will be catching an error by default. So just like that, and then you can just come here and start with error, because this function or app.use can accept four arguments in that is error, request, response, and next. So we need to give these types since it is TypeScript. So we need error type. So we just call it error, just like that. We need now the request, and it should be the request here, and they should follow each other just like how I'm showing you. So response, this one should be a response, so we call it response, and then the other one which it is optional, this one is next function. So there are two arguments which are optional, this error here and this next here are optional. You can just include request and response, but they must follow each other just like that, or just like how I'm showing you right here. So now we open here, and now we need to add something. So we have some error here, and this error we can just remove it just like that, and maybe add here because we want it to be just an error that I don't know why it is not working. It's giving me error, but it should be a function, or I have confirmed from my previous project, should be a function just like that. And then we can say now things like, or maybe we can hover over it and see what they are giving us. And yeah, we have not installed this, or we have not imported this to here, request. So let me add request and response here from Express, and now you can see the error has gone. So now that's okay now. So now what we'll do is we can say if error dot message, and what we'll do is just response dot status, and we can give it 500 dot JSON, and then we can send that message to be maybe of error dot message, and we just come here and say res dot status, and then we can give it 400, and then dot JSON, and we can code this. We can give it a message, and then we can say something like error dot message. It's just the same. So now the last thing that we need to do is to initialize our app, or to run our app, our server. So we can say app.reason, and this function for reasoning, it needs to argument. As you can see here, it's already showing you it needs a callback, and first of all we need to add the port that we will be using. So what we will do, we just add maybe 5000 port, and then the next part here is option, so just like that. But now to hide some things in your server, or to just be professional in a way, you need to come here in our app here, and we can include a .env file just like that. And now we need to add port. We can call it a port, and we give it a value of 4000. And this one, if you remember, we have included it not to be pushed to our GitHub, because that's will impose some security issues. Also, if you are building a very secure application, you don't want other people to know which server, maybe port that server is running on. So now what we need to do, let's come here at our index.ts, and then first of all, before we continue, now we will do something like const port, and our port, if you want to access the .env here file, you can say process.env, and then the variable name that you have given to that specific value that you want to use. So now here we can remove this 5000 and give it a port now, just like that. It will be okay. Now the other thing is we need to console log, and we want to log so that we see if our server is running. And so we can say backtick in order to use template. We can use the variable port here. So what we'll do is just say server is running on port, and then we just give a space and then give the value, just like that. And now let's see if it is running. Let's save. It is already compiling, so we can just see here it is working, but it is saying that server is running on port undefined, and this means that we don't have that port. It is not getting that port, and that is because we haven't done retro thing here, and this is coding the .env and then the function config, so that it will configure for us to enable us to access that .env file. So we just do like that. Then we first of all format our code here, just like that. So now we can just come in our terminal, and after it's not getting the port now. Let's see here what might be wrong. So let me give some space here and some space here. Let me add here maybe 5000, and then let's save and just come back, and then we confirm again if it's okay. So now let's see if it is working now, because it should be working. So let me see in our port here. So let me clear out and then run again our command, and it is not getting the port here. So what we'll do, we will not waste our time. First of all, we just proceed with our port here, with our specified port here, and then we can come back and correct the mistake. So let's write here 3000, just like that, and when you come here, you can see now it's running on port 3000. I just look what the mistake I did here, because it should be like this, or we should use .env, just like the way I have shown you here. So I think there is some mistake somewhere. So now another thing that I want to add here, or to show you here, is this video here, and this will be catching all our errors by default, and this is something that you should adopt in your application, or you might go and run more or learn about this default function here for catching errors. Now you need to look at folder structures that we'll be using, and the one that I have seen, it's used by senior developers and those people who do coding by profession. And there are things that I want to add here. First of all, first folder should of course be for roots, and the other folder, we call it controllers, and I'll show you how to use them. The other one is for DB, and this one, this folder for DB will include the documentation for database, like things like store procedures and tables. This is because if you're working with a team of developers, they need to know how the database is structured, so that you get into the same boat, or you can work in a project comfortably, because they need to know how your database looks like, so that they understand the whole project. So now another thing is helpers. You have a folder called helpers, and this one here helpers should be we should include a code that is reusable, that we can reuse in order to avoid repetition in code. If there's something that we feel like we'll be using it most of the time in our application, then we can add here in the helpers. So please just see everything that we include in these folders here. So another thing is interfaces, because we are using TypeScript. So let me type interfaces just like that. And another, or the last one, should be config, and this config should include our config file for our database. This is where we include a file that will connect us with database, things like port, database name, and everything, but I'll just show you everything, so no worries. First of all, so we start at our entry point here into our endpoint or our endpoint. And another thing, before I forget, we need midwares, a folder called midwares here, or we can just give it small letters. And this midware will include a code that will be checking if this user is already authenticated or he or she is not authenticated, because if a user is not authenticated, you need to ban them from accessing your endpoint or your backend, because if you allow everybody to access your application, our API or your API, you will find that it will be having security issues, because somebody can read data from database without your authorization, or maybe without proper access or proper checks in our API. So that's all. I think those folders are okay for now. So now we can just come here and I show you how this code here looks like. So this code looks really nice, but when you open this file here for JavaScript, it looks very sluggish, it looks very ugly, and you can't understand what it is happening with this code here and this JavaScript code here. And if you have worked with JavaScript for time again, or you have worked with JavaScript, you haven't seen any code like this, but this is one is which we are using to run, or we are using this here to run, because if you come here into our terminal, you see already we are running this node mode dist, and then inside dist we are running this index.js, but that's some insight, and you don't have to care about this code here. You need to code in TypeScript, so we don't have any need to just go here and start maybe having worrying about that code. So now we need to start here, so coding from here. So we already have entry point here. So now what we can do, we can just to make sure our program is working, we can try a certain route. You can say .get, just like that, and you can say default route, and you can give it a call function or a callback function that will require request, just like I showed you, and this one will be requiring request type, and the other one is response. It will need a response type from Express. Now what we'll do is just say s.status 200 and JSON, just like that, and then you can give it a message, and our message can be you have accessed endpoint. And to test if it is working, what you can do, you can just come in your browser. So this one should be this one here. We have not included the arrow function, so just like that. So to test, you can use Postman. We have Postman here, a tool called Postman, and if you have not installed, you can go forward and install this application. But for a start, we just use our browser here. So what we'll do, we just say HTTP and then our localhost. But now we need to access port. It is 3000, or maybe let me confirm. It's 400 or it's, yeah, 3000. So just come here and then try to access it. And now you can see we are getting the response. You have accessed the endpoint. So now we can just go into our roots, and now let's first of all delete this one here, just like that. So we need that. So guys, in this application we'll be using something called MVC, or Model View Controller, and this is just a conventional way of doing things. You need to separate model, view, and controller, and this is how it works. Now we need to come into our roots and then controllers, and now controllers will be handling our logic here. So we can just come here and write something like parcel.ts, and we can write another file here, maybe user.ts, because we need a user to log in and we need the user to access this parcel. So the same with roots here. So we just need to add parcel.ts, and we have another file here called user.ts, and that's okay. Now we just need to start here at our parcel, and then add our logic here. So what we'll do, we'll just create empty functions or logic, because already we have not we don't have a connection to a database. We'll do it in another video. So we just import express, just like we did, and then now we can just come here and start coding the logic. So maybe the first logic or function, you can code it maybe something like get all parcels, just like that, and then you can say this is a function, yeah, just like that. And then another thing, we need to add request here. So request and response here, response. So another function we can add is update parcel, if you want to update parcel, and this one will be for request, and then we'll add request as a type, request, just like that. And then we need response, and we add the type for response as response, and that's another function. So another function we can add is const delete parcel, or parcel, just like that. And you can give it the same argument with the top functions here, the two the two functions up there. So that is request, and another is response. Just like that, response. The other one, or the last one, we need to include for now is response, and this is just like adding a CRUD. This is just a CRUD operation. So here we can add delete. We have ordered get, delete, update, and create. We can say add post, and this one should be having a request also, and this one is request, and need response, which is response here, just like that. And then we need now to add that function there. So in our user here, we can import express also, express from express, just like that, from express, and we can now add like two functions or three. First one, we can call it a function for signing in. So signing in, just like that. It should be a const, and we are exporting them because we need them in our roots. So, and the same here, should be having request, and response. It should be here, response. Yeah. So you can add that. Another thing is export const sign up or registering, just like that. And now we need to add the same request. This one is request, and response, and response, just like that. And the last one that I want us to include is export const, and then this one we say get all users, and let's include request, and this one is request, and another thing is response, should be response, just like that. The last one maybe which we can include, even if maybe we won't code it, this is for deleting user, because most of the time we find that it's very hard to have this functionality to delete user. Response or request, yeah, request, and now our response should be having response, just like that. And now that's okay. And now what we need to do, we need to now go back to roots, yeah, and in our roots now here we can export everything that we have done in our controller. So now here we need to add the roots. So let me first of all import express from express, just like that. And then we need to get this router, and let me call it express, or we can just import it from express, just the way you can see here. So, and it has been exported there. So now the other thing is now including our route. root, we call it root rather than router, and this one should be for to get. So you just say if someone hits this here, this route here, just like what we were doing. Now you can just call the function in our controller. Which function do we want? We can say the get all parcels, just like that. And now you can see already it has exported for us from controllers and there. So it has been added. So it is giving us some errors here. Request response import. It's already imported. I don't know why it's giving me error, but let me first of all add other routes. For this one is for posting, so let's add this, and let's say add post there, and this one is route is not. So it's giving us some errors, but we'll correct them later on. So let me add the other one is for delete, and we say that delete here, delete, and we call the function delete here, delete parcel. And this one I don't want this auto completion, so let me add here route, just like that. And now we have the last here, or our last router, our last route, which is for updating. So you can just come here, say route dot put, because that one function is for updating. And now what we need to do is need to add here ID, because we need an ID to get to update a parcel. So now we say update parcel, just like that. Now let me see the mistake maybe that I have done here, so because it's giving us some error. So guys, I have identified where the error is, and this is because we didn't include this request. We have not imported this request and response. That's why it's giving us that error. So what we need to do is we need to include here, or we need to import the request response, and let's call it request, or we can call it just like that. And now if you come down here, you can, here at our routes, you can already see we have the error has gone. So now another thing that we need to do is to export, and then say default route, just like that. So we have included that. So now let's save, but before that, to add another key thing here, you can add something that is called index.ts that is inside our route here, and this will export all our routes and then export them. This will make it efficient because we don't need so much repetition. So what we'll do, just say import, let me say something like user route from, and then you can add, or you can add parcel as something like parcel, but we need it to be parcel route, just like that, just to make your work very clean. So now you come here down and say export, and then give it a parcel route, export it, just like that. Another thing we can now do is to add the here root for, or this root for user. So we just say import, and then you can say export or import express from express, and we need to import even the router just like that, and we come here, say route is equals router, just like that. We call that function, and now const, this should be const here. So our first route will be for sign up dot host, because it's for signing up route and host, and then we say our default route should called sign up, this one here, and the other one is route dot post again, but we need to differentiate them. So we just give, because these are two methods which are the same, so when you are accessing the route, it won't understand which one you need to access. So we just come here and say this one is for sign up, just like that, and this one is for sign in, just like that. And the same, you see the mistake that we did, so we just come here and import request and response, and the error will be gone. So need now to export default router, just simple as that. Now we come at our index here and this index here, and now we can call this import user route from the router or user, just like that, and let us include here, include user route. Now this will be okay, because I don't want, if we are not using this index here inside our routes, we will be required to come here and call every route that is being done on this parcel and user. So we could have called everything that is required, that is here. So now we can just come into the entry point, and we can say app.use, this is a middleware, and then when a request come into our API, and then /parcel, we need to add the user root, as you can see it here, just like that. And so and the other one should be use, and then to access API, and then user, you can call it parcel or user, parcel. This one should be for parcel root, or this one should be for you, this one should be for user, and this one should be for parcel, just like that. Now you have already done like almost everything. So what we'll do now, you can test some of our routes, and before that, if you can notice, we are importing our routes from index.ts, but even it is not showing our /routes here /index, and this is because we are exporting them by default, and Node is clever enough to know what we meant by that. So let me save everything. Now to see some, let's say, some things, or to see maybe something to test, you can say something like rest.status, and then say like 200, and then you can say JSON, and then a message here. And our message, you can say accessed, request granted, just like that, granted. I think that is the spelling for granted. So now we can try and get into that route. So if you come here, so what will happen is when we say something like /API now /parcel, so it means that our application will just come into our endpoint and look for API and parcel, and then it will just hit this route here. This route will just go here and look for, or it will just come here for parcel, and it will just see the parcel route. It will come here, look for the parcel route, and then look for this default, and because it's a get method, it will automatically call this function here in our control, and then it will just come here and get the default route, which is our function here that is called get all parcels. So let us test. So let us test our route, and as you can see, it is giving us a message. Is this message request granted. So now I feel like our video has gone so long, or it's getting longer. So what we'll do is just end here, and we'll continue in the next video. So guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and you can ask anything, and you can add anything in the comment, like, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next video.